Good morning, everybody. Welcome in on this Sunday morning. If you did tune in to the very first episode, I do apologize. We did have some issues, obviously, with the sound. We did the whole show. No mic was working, so we're going to roll this show back again. I appreciate you guys checking us out, tuning back in. We have arrived at another Sunday. It is time for some Sunday football for this week. We've got a QB duel that's going to go down in Baltimore tonight between the Ravens and the Chiefs. We got a gunslinger versus a leg slinger, per se, a running back slash QB. You know what I mean? The Cowboys are looking to take a next step forward and actually get a win and not just get a moral victory this week. They will be looking to get that win when they go to play the Chargers. That's going to be a good game too. Looking forward to that one. My boys up in Green Bay looking to bounce back on Monday Night Football this week. We're going to kick the shit out of the Lions like the Saints did to us last week. You take a little revenge on the Lions in the name of the New Orleans Saints. I also can't handle another week at the office if the Green Bay Packers lose again. I've had people singing all week. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. I couldn't stand it. Had to listen to that shit all week. Need my boys to win up in Green Bay. They're going to kick the shit out of the Lions tomorrow night. It should be a good game. We're going to be breaking it down today. But first, got something I've got to address. The elephant in the room. Talked a lot of shit to my guest last week. I was going to beat him in fantasy football. That didn't happen. It didn't happen. Instead, my team completely failed. Now, I believe we made a bet that I play a little song for the loss. I've got this high-quality kazoo that Wesley gifted us last week here on the show. The finest plastic that is made in China. This right here goes out to the squad that didn't make it last week. RIP to my team in week one. We start off 0-1 against a halfway decent football squad. We'll break down how exactly my team failed to not show up last week, where my team fell short, where my team had some really good moments, but just couldn't get it done. This last week, as you can see, my team did about as all we could do last week at the quarterback position. Russell Wilson, he gave it his all. He brought out a 26-point fantasy performance. One of the better performances from QBs all weekend. He did everything I could ask and hope for. Everything I could ask. This one is not on you, Q. Not on you. I will not let him put that on you. Leonard Fournette, 10 points, solid game. I didn't know where he was really going to fall. That Bucks backfield, man, like it was kind of unclear on who's going to be getting what touches. Leonard Fournette seemed to be the leader out of that backfield last week. He needs to do a little bit better in the passing game than he did. One of Tom Brady's interceptions was due to ball bouncing off his hands, going straight to the defense. So he's got to do a little bit better, or else they're going to lose a little bit of confidence in him in the passing game. So needs to do that so he can get me the PPR points this week. But 10 points, not bad. Biggest shock of the week, Tyson Williams. Last minute pickup for me. My opponent even was the one that made me aware that Gus Edwards was down. Then I go and tell him, hey, dude, I appreciate that insight. I'm picking up his backup, and I'm going to play him against you. He played phenomenal. 17 points, 3 receptions, 29 yards, 65 yards rushing, and a touchdown. That pick was clutch. My backfield strongly outperformed their backfield. Zeke Elliott laid an absolute egg with 5 points, talking about how, some, good game's not always a good stat line. I had a couple good pass blocks. You are not an offensive lineman. Get some touches. Get involved in the passing game. Do something. You're not getting paid all that money to pass block, my guy. So, no, it was not a good game for you, Zeke. Don't tell yourself that. David Montgomery, he came out, he killed 19 points. I mean, he outscored both my running backs Both my running backs total outscored both his running backs, though. So far, we've won on the quarterback and the running back position. Those are where I excelled this last week, which was very surprising because the running backs was not supposed to be that way. Switching gears to my receivers. My receivers lost me this game last week. Davante Adams severely underperformed. Anytime your team gets routed 38-3, you're not putting a lot of fantasy points up. Doesn't matter what position you're playing. It ain't happening. Not happening. So he had a very lackluster game, 10 points. I need at least 20 from him, 20 to 30 in that DeAndre Hopkins range there. I need him to be doing that week in, week out. I took him first round overall for a reason, to do just that. He needs to do it. We took all those receivers. Remember what we talked about a couple episodes back? Had a couple too many beers before the draft. Made a dumbass mistake. Drafted 4 receivers straight out the gate. So I've been struggling in the running back game, or so I thought. The running backs seem to be doing better than the receivers. You got Calvin Ridley with 10 points. It's not bad. Could be better. I was hoping for at least a 15 to 20 from him as well. He's going to play against the Bucs this week. If we see another shootout like they got into with the Cowboys last week, that could be a good thing for Calvin Ridley this week. Davante Adams going to the Lions. I think he's going to have a good bounce-back game. I'm expecting 24 points from him at least. But I'll be happy with 20. But 24 at least. Julio Jones, he's out of there. He's on the bench now. I took a gamble with him. I thought he was going to excel in a new team, new offense. They didn't get him involved as nowhere near as much as I thought they would be. It is not somebody I want to rock with right now until that's more of a certain play. He is going to the bench. My receivers lost me the game last week. My defense didn't help get me -1 points. My kicker kicked ass, though. My kicker got more points than every single one of my receivers. My kicker outscored all of my receivers. He outscored one of my running backs. He outscored, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the positions on the field. Outscored him by the kicker. Good job, Mr. Bass. Let's do it again this week when you go down to Miami. Now, how we're going to bounce back this week. Start off, I'm going to be playing against the old waiver wire hunters this week, a.k.a. old Pops, old man. My dad is going to be the one I'm facing off this week. I'm not paying attention to none of those projections. They're projecting him to win. Those projections are boo-boo. It's not right. I will win. That being said, Russell Wilson, I expect him to have another good game this week. He's going to play Tennessee, who was lackluster to say the least against the Cardinals last week. And so I expect the exact same thing. They couldn't slow down Kyler Murray, who had 5 touchdowns, and one of those was on the ground. Russell Wilson's very similar play style. He's going to have a big game, too, if they can't get it together down in Tennessee, which I'm hoping for. I'm rolling with Leonard Fournette again. He's what I got. He's going in. He's playing against Atlanta. With that matchup, I just can't leave him out. There's a lot of uncertainty with the Bucs if it's going to be the same type of backfield again this week. If he's going to get the same type of touches with all the running backs they have. I got to take the risk on it. He's playing Atlanta. That matchup is unavoidable. If you notice, Tyson Williams, he's not in the lineup. It's very strange when somebody puts up 17 points, turn around and bench him. They're going into Kansas City tonight. I don't think it's going to be a good game for the Ravens. They've added more running backs to the roster, which is he's still probably going to be that lead guy, but probably going to eat into his touches. I'm not comfortable taking that gamble because they've got Elijah Mitchell, who they've clearly stated is going to be the number 1 back, with Raheem going down. So I'm rolling with Elijah Mitchell instead. Picked him up this week. I think he's gonna do well against the Eagles this week, who had a dominant performance. They're playing a lot better team this week, though, so we'll see. I think there's no way my receivers do worse than last week, so we got to have a good week. I think Devontae's going to have a bounce-back week. Him and the Packers, they're going to be playing with a vengeance this week. They got their ass kicked last week. They're playing against the Lions. They're going to be looking to have a big game. Calvin Ridley, it should be a tough game, but I just can't not play him. He's the number 1 receiver. He's going to get the targets. If he can make do with his targets, then he'll have a good game. I'm hoping for the best with him. I threw Robbie Woods up into that flex spot for Julio. Julio just did not get involved like we were talking about. Didn't get involved like I thought he would last week. Um, that being said, Robert Woods, he wasn't the most involved receiver in Los Angeles last week, but I'm sure if their offense keeps lighting it up with that pass heavy style, that downfield play, Robert Woods going to get his targets. He's going to get it. Just got to stick with him. I'm thinking at least 13 points from him today, maybe 14, 15. We'll see how that goes. Also, Ravens defense out. One, they got me -1 points last week. I ain't playing your ass again this week, no matter who you play. Secondly, they're playing the Chiefs. I wouldn't play any defense that plays the Chiefs. Like it just doesn't make sense. It's not a smart move. And then of course my kicker. That's gonna be my kicker week in, week out, unless he just starts doing terrible. But we're hoping that we play a little bit better. I think his Josh Allen QB is going to probably have a pretty good game there in Miami. I think he's going to play big. He's got a tough corner, but in Xavier Howard to go up against, I still think he's going to have a big game, though. Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, they should have decent games. It's going to be a little tough one for Joe Mixon going up against that front seven in Chicago. But if they can get it working, he'll be all right. Get him involved in the passing game, he'll probably put up decent points. I'm not too intimidated by his receiving core. This should be a close game, I think. I think we're about even kill, as the predictions say, but I do think that I'm favored based on what I'm seeing matchup-wise. I think his matchups are a little bit tougher, but we'll see. We'll see. I like his Jared Cook tight end play. Like, that's going to be a good – I took him in daily fantasy this week. That's going to be a good one for him. I think he'll have a decent game for a tight end, but a tight end's not going to win you a game unless he just has an insane game and scores like 2 touchdowns in the red zone or something. But, yep, that's what we're looking at this week. It's going to be a good little fantasy matchup, taking on old man. It's always fun to play him in fantasy. Get a lot of shit talking going on. It's a lot of fun, and I gotta win. If I don't win, I'll hear it all season. So, gotta get that win. I'm hoping for a big win, like my Aggies did yesterday. They beat the dog shit out of, I think it was New Mexico State, maybe one of them. I don't know, some shitty team. Either way, though, hoping to do the same here in fantasy football today. Gonna take down the waiver wire hunter. It's funny that his name's the waiver wire hunter because he's, trying to get all those waiver picks. But who ended up with Elijah Mitchell? You know what I'm saying? He texted me at one point, was like, hey, who are you getting since you have the pick in front of me? And, of course, he knew exactly who I was taking, so he had to take some other running back, which I don't even see the running back that he was talking about. I don't know if he got him or not, but he's not in his starting lineup today, so maybe he doesn't plan on playing him. Maybe he's just there. Pick up and stow away for a while. Who knows? But yeah, no, we'll switch gears a little bit, get into some daily fantasy with my picks today. As you know, with these picks, you can only go over certain amount. Juju or Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, man. I think Ricky Blaze, Christian Kirk. I just saw your comment. I apologize. I didn't address it at first. Hines or Drake or Gainwell. Ooh. Neither. Neither. Probably Hines. He'll probably do the best out of them. But are you in a deep-ass league to have those as your running backs? That's rough. But definitely Christian Kirk over Juju, in my opinion. The Steelers, who they got again this week? They've got the Titans. I mean, Juju still may have a good game against the Titans. We saw what the Titans did with actually, I take that back. I didn't realize the matchup. I apologize. Or no, the Titans. That's Seattle, not Steelers. I'm misreading my notes here. Steelers, Raiders. Nah. I say you go Christian Kirk. That offense is more explosive than the Steelers offense is going to be. I think the ceiling's going to be a lot higher for him. Ricky Blaze, take your Christian Kirk. I like the name. Just Blaze, baby. That being said, though, daily picks. I take old Matt Stafford. That's going to be a value pick this week. 6,400 at the QB. I think he's going to light it up again this week. I took Nick Chubb. That's where I'm spending a lot of my money. A lot of my money in this daily fantasy pick is going to be Nick Chubb and Keenan Allen this week. Keenan Allen, I think he's going to torch the Cowboys defense. We saw what the Bucs offense did to the Cowboys secondary last week. I don't see that improving, especially with their number one pass rusher being out. He's gone. Let's see. Elijah Mitchell. Hines on your running back, by the way. I don't think I answered that. I'd definitely go Hines on your running back. Actually, no, don't go Hines. That's a tough defense. Shit, man, dude, that's a tough play. If there anybody on your waiver wire, I'd look to pick them up, possibly. I doubt there's anybody left though at this point by Sunday. I think Hines, based on talent and probably like production you'll get from him, it's gonna be a tough play though. In this daily fantasy though, I'm also taking Elijah Mitchell, another value pick here, $5,000 for him, and he's gonna be the lead back out in San Francisco. He's gonna have a good day. To your point here, Mr. Ricky Blaze, one of the receivers I took here in daily fantasy was the Christian Kirk himself. He's a value play at $5,000. Kyler Murray threw 4 touchdowns last week. I don't know if he's going to quite do that again this week, but that offense is explosive. He's getting everybody involved. Everybody's getting a piece of the pie, man. So I think that's going to be a good play for me there. Keenan Allen, again, torching that defense in Dallas. Amari Cooper, man, if I can just get half of what he did last week, Njoku, for sure. Amari Cooper, though, he's going to have I think he'll have another big game. Amari Cooper came back from this offseason. If everybody thinks about it, even I was doing it. We were all hyping up CeeDee Lamb. Talking, CeeDee's going to have a great year. Amari Cooper been real quiet in the offseason. I believe he had surgery in the offseason, just kind of kept it down low in the preseason. Came out week 1, 41 fantasy points, kicked ass. He let everybody know, hey, look, like CeeDee's good. CeeDee is the man. But I'm the number 1 receiver in this motherfucker. That is me. Ain't nobody else. Me. That being said, Amari Cooper, if he could just do half as good as he did last week, I'll take that. But I'll take another 40 points from him too this week. Christian Kirk, a little bit of a gamble, but I think, again, with the way they're going to spread that offense around, it's going to be good. Jared Cook, another value play at the tight end level over here on the daily fantasy board. He's going up against Dallas, whose secondary and pass defense, obviously, last week was not that great. He's the number 1 tight end down on the Chargers team. Justin Herbert will be looking to check down to him if he has to. I think Jared Cook's going to have a good game. Something else that I'm doing again this week. Don't normally do this too often, but I got 2 tight ends again this week, and it's just strictly due to it's all I could really afford with what I had left when I got to the flex position. I spent $4,700 on Gronkowski. He put up 2 touchdowns last week. I don't know if he'll do that again, but he's got a very enticing matchup with the Falcons, who got absolutely dog walked by the Eagles last week. So I'm looking for hopefully another big game from him. The Bills is the best defense I could afford at that point. $3,300. They're playing Miami. Miami's offense not explosive. Yeah. That is my daily fantasy. I'll keep you all updated on how that goes. Max prize on this one that I entered is $500. If you haven't yet, check out DraftKings. They've got free entries as well where you can win some money as well. They've got paid entries if you want to win even more money. Check them out. That's where I do all my daily at. FanDuel, I'm not a big fan of the interface, but I mean, I know a lot of people do like them, so check them out too, no matter wherever you want to play. But I'm basing all mine off of DraftKings. That's what I play in, so the values may be a little bit different if you're doing FanDuel, just heads up. As we move on, we'll get out of the fantasy football conversation a little bit. We're going to move into what is actually going on today across the league with today's daily games. On the slate today, we've got a couple good games that I believe will be a little bit closer. Couple games and then quite a few games that I think are not going to be really worth our time watching per se. First and foremost, the spread on the Kansas City and Baltimore game is 2.5 points. Kansas City's favored. You got to take Kansas City on that. Come on, man. Like, no way that Baltimore's going to win. They're not going to cover a 2.5 point spread. Baltimore's offensive line allowed crazy pressure and all kinds of sacks last week against the Raiders. Kansas City has Chris Jones, who had 2 sacks last week. He's going to come in looking to do the same this week. The Ravens' O-line is not going to be able to keep them at a point where they're going to be able to keep pace with Kansas City. Kansas City's going to easily cover that spread. This one's going to be 38-21 Chiefs, in my opinion. That's going to be going on tonight, Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a good matchup, though, between the quarterbacks. If Baltimore comes out and plays out of their mind because it's primetime, then it could very well be a good game. I'm not expecting it, though. Let's see here. Buffalo, Miami. That's another good little spread. 3.5 points. The Bills are going to cover that. It's going to be a close. It's going to be closer than what they think. People think that the Bills are just going to take out Miami with no problem. I feel like I think it's going to be a 24-17 game. It will be one touchdown, but they will cover that spread. Titans, Seattle. This is going to be a interesting game. I think the Titans severely underperformed last week, as everybody else can probably agree to on that. I don't foresee them underperforming as much this week against Seattle. It is going to be a close game, in my opinion, because I think that the Titans' offense will bounce back, and I think they're going to keep them in this game and keep them with pace with Seattle. Unfortunately, I don't think their defense is good enough to win them the game. Their defense allowed 5 touchdowns to Kyler Murray last week, 4 in the air, 1 on the ground. Russell Wilson, very similar play style. I wouldn't be surprised if he has at least, 2 touchdowns passing and 1 rushing, or 3 in the air. He is going to end up with 3 touchdowns probably total, though. I think this final here is going to be 31-28. Seahawks are going to win. They're not going to cover that spread, though, so watch out when they're picking the favorite in that one. Rams, Colts. Matt Stafford went out to Los Angeles and just absolutely lit it up with this team. He seems to be enjoying his new team very much so. Only thing with the Bears is their secondary is probably the worst part of their team. They've got a great front seven that gets good pressure, but their secondary can't help them out. I think that's going to be the same thing. Or this week, I think he's going to have a little bit more time to throw versus the constant pressure from the Colts. But the Colts do have a good front seven as well. I don't think the Colts defense, though, is going to be up to the task here. I think this one's going to be a final of 34-17 Rams. Rams will definitely cover that spread. Sorry to all the Colts fans out there. It's going to be a rough one for y'all this week. Another game that's going to be interesting to see is going to be the Cowboys-Chargers game this week. Are the Cowboys going to get over that hump and get an actual victory and not a moral victory? Will the Chargers be as good as everybody's been thinking they're going to be? They didn't perform bad last week, but both these teams are kind of in the boat of, hey, we didn't perform bad last week, but we could be better, I think that the Chargers are going to be able to keep pace with them just due to the fact that the Cowboys secondary is not very good. A lot of people are worried that since La'el Collins is out, that the Cowboys are going to be awful now because of their offensive line, but we got to remember they're getting Zach Martin back off of the COVID list for this week. They did okay without one of their key pieces on the line last week. Let's see if they can do the same this week. I think the Cowboys win outright, 31-24, and they're going to do that on the back of Dak Prescott today. He's going to probably throw for at least 300 yards, I would assume. I'm curious to see if Dak gets more mobile this week. I noticed last week he did have some moments where he showed his mobility per se, but he also seemed a little bit slower. He didn't look as mobile. I don't know if that was by design or not. Not too sure. We'll see. I think they're probably by design limiting his mobility a little bit, but I think at some point they're going to need to turn him loose so that way they can really get all aspects of Dak Prescott to put him over that hump in each game, especially when they play really good teams. Saints, Panthers. Saints are going to beat the Panthers. Panthers barely beat the Jets last week. The Jets are terrible. So, the Panthers aren't bad. I don't think they're going to win, unfortunately. But I am curious to see that virtual reality or whatever the hell it is, that Panther they had hopping around in the stadium last week. That was pretty badass. I think every team should be required to do something cool like that if the Panthers are able to ball out. You got the Cowboys who make way more money and then 5 times worth the amount, and they can't do some shit like that. Come on. Get a damn cowboy riding in on a horse through the stands or some shit. Be cool. Moving on, we got the Raiders Steelers. I think this one's going to be a defensive battle. I think the Steelers defense is going to overwhelm the Raiders. They're going to shut down that check down to Waller more than likely. And then once they do that, the Raiders don't have much else. I think the Steelers are going to rout the Raiders 17-7 this week in a defensive struggle. They will cover the spread too. The spread 6.5 points. Falcons, Tampa. Is there more that we have to say about the Falcons and Tampa? The Falcons are awful. Tampa is the Super Bowl champs from last year. Do we expect anything different? Big win for the Bucs coming up, 38-13. We'll move on. Next game, Browns and Texans. Texans going to Cleveland. I don't know if anybody does like a survivor group or anything like that where you pick a winner each week. If your team loses, you're out. I'm doing that for the first time this year. My cousin hit me up, asked me if I wanted to join one, so I joined this group. My survivor pick of this week is going to be the Cleveland Browns going up against the Texans. Look, the Texans played great last week, but they also played a bad team. The Browns played great last week against a great team. They just came up short. The Browns are going to have more of the juice flowing because they're going to be battle tested versus the Texans, who went up against Trevor Lawrence in his first ever game in the NFL. Urban Meyer's first ever, regular season coached game in the NFL. However, I think that point spread of 12.5 points is a little bit crazy. I think the Browns have too much of a heavy run scheme to cover 12.5 points. I think the Browns are going to win 2013, and they're not going to cover that spread though. Bengals, Bears, who gives a fuck? Patriots, Jets, 24-7. Patriots don't need no other explanation. Jets are not good. They do have a good quarterback. However, I think the Patriots defense can be too good for them. Let's see here. 49ers, Eagles. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm curious to see, is Jalen Hurts as good as he put on last week? He played against the Falcons. It's not a big test. This is going to be his first true test of the season. I think this is when, the boys separate from men per se. When you go up against these tough teams, is he going to be able to pull it off, or is he going to fold under the pressure? I think it's going to be a close one. I think the 49ers win 27-24. Eagles will cover that 3.5 point spread. But it will be close, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a lot closer game. Broncos, Jags, it's only going to get worse for the Jags this year. They couldn't beat the Texans. Broncos are going to win big, 34-10. They're going to cover that 6 point spread pretty easily. You got the Vikings, Cardinals. Cardinals are favored by 4. The Cardinals had 6 sacks last week. I'm sure they'll be looking to do the same this week. Probably not 6 sacks, but they are going to be looking to get a lot of pressure on Kirk Cousins back there, get him out of his rhythm. Once you can get Kirk Cousins rattled, it's about over. I hope the Cardinals kick the shit out of the Vikings because I'm obviously Green Bay Packer fan. That being said, I think the Vikings are going to need to rely on Dalvin Cook, slow down the tempo. If they don't slow down this tempo of the game, Kyler Murray's going to be on the field way too much, and he's going to light them up with that offensive powerhouse he's got over there. I think the Cardinals win 31-13. Wrapping things up here, we've got little Monday night football tomorrow night. Got Green Bay taking on the Lions. The Lions travel to Green Bay, first home game of the season for my Green Bay Packers. Look, man, all of y'all been talking shit all week, singing, Saints go marching in and all this shit to me throughout the week. Look, man, the Packers are going to bounce back. They're going to kick ass. It's only 1 week. If you really think about it, the season starts this week. Every NFC North team lost last week. Everybody's 0-1. Season starts this week. That was just preseason still. At the end of this week, there will be at least one NFC team with a win because Green Bay and the Lions play. And I fully envision that to be Green Bay. They will be leading the conference at the end of Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers said it himself. Really good teams, they don't have back-to-back bad weeks like that. They may have bad weeks, but not 38-3 bad weeks back-to-back. That's not going to happen. Green Bay's going to win. They're going to come in, prove themselves, show that they are that team, show that they are who we know they can be, and they're going to light it up on the Lions. I think it will be a close game, though, because I'm sure we'll do something to let them kind of back in towards the end, and they'll probably be looking to do kind of something similar to what they did with the 49ers, try and pull it out there at the end. It's always a close game. With the Lions, I'm hoping that the Packers come out and just kick the shit out of them. But just historically speaking, it's probably going to be a close one with a division game. Packers are going to win, probably not cover the spread. Probably 31-27 final here. They're going to, make my heart race a little bit tomorrow night. But at the end of the day, they're going to give me what I want, and that's a Packers victory. And that's all I can ask for. But yeah, no, guys, I appreciate everybody, tuning into the show, giving us a check out. All y'all commenting on the show, y'all keep it up. Y'all keep getting engaged with us here, and we'll continue to keep putting out content. Some of you guys may notice I did we have kind of rebranded the channel a little bit. We're moving away from the Fantasy Sports Lab. We're just going to be the Sports Lab. We will talk about fantasy. Obviously, we still do talk about that. I just don't want to be roped into only fantasy. I love all sports. I want to be able to talk about all sports, whether it be fantasy football, whether it be two fans fighting in the stands, whether it be Dana White calling the Paul brothers a bitch, whether it be anything. I want to be able to talk about that. So for all of y'all that have been tuning in, man, I appreciate it. Y'all keep tuning in. Y'all make sure to like and subscribe and check out the channel. And again, like I said, make sure to subscribe. Y'all keep commenting on stuff. I appreciate it. Even the people, posting some mean shit, I appreciate it, and it makes me laugh. I appreciate all the comments, all the views, guys. We've officially hit 11,000 views with the channel. That's more than I thought we would ever get in this first month. So I appreciate everybody checking it out. Y'all make sure to keep coming in on these Sunday shows. I feel like majority of the viewers come from our short videos, but y'all come watch these too if you find yourself here. I like to interact with people. So Ricky Blaze, I appreciate your comments today. Anybody else comment, feel free. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.